interested in seeing definitely the style, like how much superstar caliber he was in Mexico, and in general, just seeing pro wrestling and what the toll takes on your body. I think that even to now, even athletes are praising a lot of pro wrestlers because it's really damaging to do that every single day of your life for like 300 and odd year, or 200 and something odd days, So, it's called Nail in the Coffin, the Fall and Rise of Vampiro. And then the next one, which is, I feel, is one of the coolest documentaries, and it really, I some of the stuff I didn't know, and it was cool to see, and it's the Yokozuna WWE Icon series. So WWE is going to be doing like a little series called WWE Icons, and Yokozuna was the first one. And if you guys don't know, Yokozuna wasn't Japanese. He was a part of the Samoan dynasty, the Anoa'i dynasty that a lot of Samoan pro wrestlers come from.
Oh, wow.
And so, he was one of their biggest. He was actually the first Polynesian world heavyweight champion in WWE, and even before The Rock, because The Rock comes from that same family. And it's cool to see WWE kind of praise some of these wrestlers, these minority wrestlers, because he grew up in LA. He grew up in the hood, like you and some of us grew up, they grew up in the hood. And, like if anybody knows about the Samoan family, that Samoan family in particular from the LA, San Francisco area, those guys were vicious, bro. Vicious. Like gangster ass fools. And, I definitely, if you have the network, or if you have, I think it might be already on Peacock as well. Definitely go check it out. Really good. This is where I praise WWE for their documentaries, because they are amazing in producing documentaries. Again, they're great in producing documentaries, not great at producing a wrestling show sometimes. But yeah, I praise them. This is amazing. This was amazing storytelling, and you kind of see a lot of stuff, and how much of a sweetheart this guy was, and how badass of a wrestler he was at 400 pounds, but at almost like close to 700 pounds, it was like kind of like, dude, like, you kind of reap what you sow,
That's crazy.
But yeah, definitely go check it out, guys. Those movies have been kind of like an eye opener for me right now. Especially with everything that's been going on in my life. Definitely go check those out, man. And that's it. Throw it over to West Dog.
All right, I just have one. It's on Netflix, and it's become a pretty controversial art house film, Malcolm and Marie.
Okay. With
Zendaya and John David Washington, Denzel's son. Basically, the film is about a young director. A young director, he basically forgets to thank his girlfriend at an award ceremony, and the kind of the repercussions towards him because of that. It's very obviously from the trailer. A lot of people, I guess, didn't expect it to be like this, even though I don't know what else you would expect. But it's a very dialogue-driven art house film, completely shot in black and white. Only takes place in their house, inside their house, predominantly, and around the I guess the property. I enjoyed it. It should probably, and I don't think it does, but it should come with a probably a trigger warning if you've ever been in, like a problematic relationship or toxic relationship, such as this one. I've heard a lot of back and forth with this film. Have either one of you two seen it yet?
I have not watched it, but I want to.
Okay.
This is my first time hearing about it, so I'm glad I'm going in blind, almost blind. We're excited to see what it is about.
Oh wow! So you haven't heard about it yet? That's crazy.
No.
It was also shot and written by the creator of Euphoria.
Oh, nice! I better like it. I already know.
Yeah. So it definitely has those kind of vibes. So check it out. It's got a 59 on Rotten Tomatoes, and you can watch it with a Netflix account.
Nice.
And with that, we can finally jump into Diego's movie focus of the week.
Oh yeah! Hell yeah!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
All right, so this week, Diego wanted to keep the ball rolling as far as us celebrating Black History Month. So we're going to be talking about Black Panther. It's PG-13. It's from 2018, if you can believe that. It runs at 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it's got a very high 96 on Rotten. Written by Joe Robert Cole and Ryan Coogler. Once again, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Chadwick-Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Martin Freeman, Daniel Kaluuya, Winston Duke, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Denai Guerrera, and Andy Serkis. The film picks up after Prince T'Challa's father is killed, leaving his son as the next rightful heir to the throne. He soon realizes his father harbored some dark secrets that could threaten the safety of Wakanda and possibly the world. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Black Panther had literally been on the back burner since the early 90s as far as the adaptation goes, with original Blade star Wesley Snipes largely interested in representing Africa in a more positive light. However, as we all know, it didn't happen until 2014 when Kevin Feige announced that Chadwick-Boseman would be our new Black Panther, making his first appearance in Captain America: Civil War. In the coming years, a handful of directors would be considered, but ultimately would drop out due to creative differences until Ryan Coogler came along. With the success of his, I believe, second film, Creed, under his belt, he was able to score his next big film. In this one, Coogler said yes to the job only if he could bring in his frequent crew rather than use the regulars that the MCU usually had preset. His justification in this was for the film's tone to stand out even more so than the 17 films prior to it. The film was written by Joe Cole and Ryan Coogler in 2016, while production started in the beginning of 2017. The film would officially be released in the US on February 16, 2018, which is great because they released it obviously for Black History Month that year. Pretty awesome. And has maintained incredible and well-deserved success, grossing over $1 billion worldwide against a $200 million budget. Everything from the perfect ensemble cast, which for the first time in MCU's filmography was predominantly African-American fronted, bringing together both contemporary stars and veterans in the industry, the breathtaking cinematography of Rachel Morrison and bold art design of Hannah Beachler and Jay Hart, mixed with an epic score from Ludwig Göransson. Black Panther is a smart, enthralling roller coaster ride of emotions. The film continues to age well. Its only fault would be at the sometimes questionable CGI, which is few and far between. Anyways, rest in peace to our king forever, Chadwick Boseman. Thank you.
Nice.
Very nice.
So Diego, you know where we're going with this.
The reason I picked Black Panther, I think it was, for me, even though I'm not African American, I'm not African American, but I think it was a huge win for minorities in general, dude. I think seeing and hearing, some of my friends who are from African descent, just hearing how amazing this feels to have them represented in a great light, and it just made me proud. Like, it made me happy because, somebody from, maybe that went through what we go through on a daily basis, or we used to go through on a daily basis, it's doing their thing. Especially, because I saw a documentary on this, and they were with Andre Ward, and they were at his boxing gym, and that Michael B. Jordan was in there. I think it was with the director, and this guy came up to him, or this kid came up to him. He's like, "Hey, he wants to say something to you," and it was like this, little black kid, just like dressed up in a Black Panther Halloween costume, and just saying, like, he inspires him to be better. And that to me was like, that alone was like, man, like this movie just it transcended what a superhero movie was, and it made it a cultural a cultural uprising, like it just made it so amazingly well. And plus the fact that this movie is already fucking great. I mean, they got Kendrick Lamar to do the soundtrack and the score. It's just amazing, bro. This movie is close to perfect as I love it. I've ever watched a Marvel movie. Definitely, they embraced everything about, even down to like the African tribes that were there in the DC Marvel universe. And it made me want to learn more. It made me want to, hear more from my friends that are from African descent, to hear, their story, because I'm sure, especially here in Southern California, you hear more about the stories from the Americas and stuff, But even some of my friends that are from African descent, but they're Mexican, they were born in Mexico, and they come from African descent, because a lot of people don't know that there was a slave trade down in Veracruz, and they have a slave statue that freed a lot of slaves that were down there they were being sold. So Mexico does also have a strong root with Africa as well. So even hearing them talk about this, it just blew my mind, and that was the first time I think I ever praised a superhero movie so well, and I spoke about it all day, every day, because of it. And I just wanted to share something, especially with the current climate, that a lot of people, especially like I know one of the states is wanting to. I think it's Utah that's asking, is actively asking parents if they could exempt their children from not learning about Black History Month, and which I feel is super fucking negative.
That's so disgusting.
Yes, and like, to me, like I love hearing people's stories, dude. I love hearing, like, their stories, and I feel like this was a win for not just me being a Mexican or my homie being of African descent, or my homie being of Asian descent. It was just like, for the minorities in general, it was like kind of like a win. And I'm not trying, dig down at like, you know, the other superheroes because they're white or anything. It's just like, yo, like, you know, there's more